الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hello my dear brothers and sisters. Salamun alaikum. When a person starts his prayer with doing takbiratul ihram, there are certain things he or she cannot do. We want to review that list today. The most important things are these: eating and drinking, speaking, laughing, crying, if it's crying out loud, turning your face away from the direction of Qibla, adding or reducing from elements of prayer, especially if they are fundamental elements, ruining form and figure of prayer, saying Amen after Surah Al-Fatiha, and putting your hands on each other. Another way of your prayer being void is like this: that you're praying in the middle of the prayer, you figured out that the place you're standing on, the ground under your feet, doesn't belong to yourself. It's maghsoob, or let's say it's for someone else, and you're not allowed to be here rather than praying on this ground. Or another example is that you find out you have forgotten to make wudu, and then you're doing your prayer without wudu. This is obviously a void salat. Or if you find out you had to make a ghusl and you have forgotten that, your prayer in this situation is also considered void. About speaking, if the person who's praying says a word in the middle of his prayer and means something with the word, like in the middle of the prayer he wants to remind his wife to take care of the baby, the baby is falling on the ground, he says baby in the middle of his prayer because he used a word and he means something by it, this makes his prayer void. But our scholars say if the word the person uses has two letters or less, if he doesn't mean something by the word, or even if he does, it doesn't make his prayer void. It's just that by necessary precaution he must redo his prayer. While you're praying, you shouldn't say hi to someone else. But if someone says hello to you, because it is necessary to return the greeting of another person, if you are the only one in the room, and or maybe no one else says hello back to the person entering the room, you are allowed to say hello to the person, but only with his own words. If he enters the room and says salam, you are allowed to say back salam. If he says salamun alaykum, you are allowed to say salamun alaykum. If he says salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, you use his words to return his greeting. Another thing that voids your prayer is laughing and crying with certain circumstances. If the person praying laughs out loud, this would make his prayer void. But smiling doesn't harm your prayer. If the person cries in the middle of his prayer, if he cries out loud and the reason he's crying is some material matter for his salary, his job, his house, or things like that, this would make his prayer void. But if he weeps, cries with no sound, or the reason that he cries even out loud and with loud voice, noise, the reason is that he fears God and he cries for the afterlife and for the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is okay, and this won't harm your prayer. Just like, as we said, weeping, if you cry with no sound, just weeping, this is also okay. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.